So new trends, technologies, and their impact. Now, before it used to be, in my days when I started CCNA or the certification path back in the 1999, and Cisco came out with CCNA and CCNP, there weren't much certificates. So these were the hot certificates, and this is what everyone was running after. In 1999, I got my CCNA. 2 or 3 years later, CCNA was a big thing to have, by the way. And 3 years later, I got my CCNP. And 3 years later, I got my CCIE routing and switching, which is like 6 years span. However, when I got my CCIE in 2005, it was still hot certificate. At that time, companies were running like crazy, trying to alleviate their partnership with Cisco to Golden Partner. And that had an implication of how many CCIEs each company should have. And that's why they were just running around trying to find anyone with CCIE, hiring them for $10,000, $12,000 a month. And here you go. Now that has changed. I know plenty of people, majority of people, they are still running after CCIE routing and switching. And again, I'm not discrediting what they are doing, but what I'm saying is this is not the hot certificate now. It could be, if you are lucky and you are in United States of America, for instance, or in Europe, one of the big markets, in Germany or in UK, there are big enterprises that will always demand CCIEs. Okay? But if you are in Egypt, if you are in the Gulf countries nowadays when the oil prices are slumping and going down, if you are CCIE routing and switching, there are people who are accepting CCIE routing and switching jobs for $2,000 and $2,500 a month, down from 10, 12,000 10 years ago. So now, depending on your geography and where you are at, CCIE might not be the way to go at all. If you are in the US, it will get you at the mid-level pay rate or pay scale. But again, that's because the US is 300 plus million people, huge country with lots of enterprises, and there will always be demand even on the older certificates, even on CCNA and CCNP. Okay, but go now to Egypt, where I was raised. I know of people that got CCNP and they can't even get jobs. Similarly, if you compare it to India, for instance, massive amount of people certified, and now you have to still keep moving up and up and up in order to get a good pay. So that track has changed. And still, it's not easy to get the CCIE routing and switching, despite all what I said. I mean, if you go through CCNA, CCNP, and then CCIE routing and switching, that takes you easily 12 months, maybe 18 months, and an investment between $5,000 and $10,000. So it costs a lot to get the CCIE routing and switching. And my simple question and humble question is, if I'm going to invest $10,000 or $15,000, should I invest that on CCIE routing and switching, or should I invest that on other certificates that are more hot and there are less people certified with these certificates, and chances are I will have more jobs to apply for and less competition compared to the CCIE routing and switching jobs and the competition on that front? So that's the basic question I want you and every one of you to ask yourself. And again, if you are in a country where this is still highly appreciated and considerably paid, then go for it if this is what you want. But my point is, this is not the top. This will not get you to the top in terms of pay, in terms of appreciation, recognition, importance, and freedom to move between companies. The hot skills and the hot certificates, this is where the money is, this is where the appreciation would be, and this is where the resources would be scarce, and you can move from one job to another. So bombarded by cloud and the cloud revenues, which are anticipated to reach $204 billion globally in 2016, so in this year, and cloud dictated or implied or helped other trends to emerge, like network function virtualization, software-defined networking. And also there are huge expectations for the revenues from these two technologies by the year 2020, that they will reach $105 billion. Now, without even talking further, now think about cloud technologies, solutions, and trends making or generating $204 billion annually. And that's now. And in 3-4 years from now, SDN solutions and network function virtualization solutions, they will generate together about $105 billion every year. Okay, so you're looking at combined about $300 billion every year. Okay, if you just want to imagine how big is that number, this is about 4 times the annual revenue of a company like IBM. This is about 6 times or 7 times the annual revenue for Cisco. This is about probably 15 to 20 times the annual revenue of HPE, Hewlett Packard Enterprise. So that's a huge amount of money. What do you think the vendors would go after? They will run after these revenues and they will try to grab as much as they can from the pie that includes cloud, SDN, and NFV, right? Now, when they do this, where would they be investing more money in terms of salaries and jobs? Of course, for people who are qualified in those areas or in these skills. People that have certificates and knowledge and experience under their belt that relates to cloud, relates to SDN, and relates to NFV. And how many people are certified and skilled in these areas compared to how many people have CCNA, CCNP, and CCIE routing and switching, and CCIE service provider, and collaboration, and all that stuff. Okay, you are looking at emerging technologies. No matter how many people have got their certificates under their belt now, they are much, much, much less than the number of people and professionals that they have been piling CCNA, CCNP, and CCIE routing and switching, and similar CCIEs for the past 15 to 18 years. Okay, they could be 1/10, they could be 100th. So now, do you want to compete with this handful or with this small group in order to get the right paid jobs? Or do you want to compete with the other group that is thousands, and maybe they have reached more now? CCIE alone is about, I think the CCIE numbers have reached 60,000 already if they have not passed that. So do you want to compete with that huge pool of professionals when you are still a new CCIE? Or do you want to compete on the other side? So direct your effort, again, back to the principle of this course, or what the goal in mind, that always direct your attention, your goals to the hot certificates. This is what will get you to the top. And if in 2, 3, 4 years you keep updating yourself and you find out that there are new trends, jump on them and become an early adopter. Usually the early adopters are the ones who ride the wave when it is very high. These are the ones who get the best out of the best. So my point is, now you could go from point A to point B, which is the start, till you are at the top in a straight line, if you know the goal. Or you could go around and then get CCNA, CCNP, CCIE routing switching, and then CCNA, CCNP security, and then CCNA, CCNP data center, and then, and later you will reach those certificates. But by the time you get there, chances are there will be a lot of people already established before you. So you will have a large pool again to compete with. And those people, because they have tasted the sweetness of being at the top, now they will jump and adopt the new trends faster. Now, by the time you get there, now you are behind. Okay, so by the time you gain experience in the 2-3 years old hot skills, they would have jumped and earned other certificates. So you will be chasing them. I don't want you to be chasing them. I want people to chase you. So have that mindset when you are planning your career. That think about all this stuff. Research. It's all available on the internet. I mean, it's not rocket science. Ask around. Verify. Validate yourself. Document it and move forward. So a lot of solutions as well based on these technologies and trends that you need to think about. Programmability, guys. Programmability is very, very hot. If you are a network professional not thinking about knowing Python, scripting, Chef, Puppet, XML, dealing with APIs, then please reconsider. So the bottom line to this long story is cloud, software-defined networks, network function virtualization are driving the data center and network and cloud infrastructure away from command line interface. CCNA, CCNP, CCIE, to date, they are about command line interface. If we're talking about routing, switching, if we're talking about service provider, data center, they are all about hands-on. Okay? Now, if everything is moving away from command line interface, do you want to wait until it becomes a must to have other skills that you don't have, or you should start working towards them right now. So as we discussed, cloud, network function virtualization, software-defined networks, and then the relevant solutions and technology, Cisco ACI, VMware NSX, VXLAN overlays, programmability, containers. Containers are very important as well. These are the policy-based or the abstraction when it comes to application and to servers as well. So this is the next generation virtual machines, if you will. OpenSDN, OpenStack, very popular. Amazon Web Services and certificates, very popular. So please make sure that you have included cloud, SDN, NFV, security, and programmability certificates and knowledge in your plan. And if they are not there, then replan. It's not a shame to replan. It's not a shame to reroute or to take a detour towards the right goal, as opposed to continuing in a less optimal path.